Rabotai, could you imagine a room filled with the greatest rabbis, the greatest tzaddikim gedolim of Eretz Yisrael, and they're all sitting together in a clandestine meeting of Agudat Yisrael. This story goes back many years ago. And what do you think the conversation was as the rabbis were going back and forth with ideas? The conversation was, how do we raise the monies that the yeshivot and the kollalim need in order to survive in Klals? How do we keep the Torah going? And they were going back and forth with all different types of ideas. And just then, the door to the room opens up, and in walks Rabbi Lorenz. He was one of the Knesset members at that time. And he runs in, and he says, Rabotai, I have amazing news. The Prime Minister of Israel at that time was Menachem Begin, an old yeshiva boy from the days of Europe. He says the Prime Minister put forward the taksiv. He wants to build into the budget of Medina Israel that they're going to raise all the money for all the yeshivot. No, this is many years, Menachem Begin, this was many years ago. All the yeshivot and all the kollalim. He said, did you hear that, Rabotai? You're never going to see another Rosh HaYeshiva having to go flying all over the world, from offices to houses, knocking on doors, making appeals in shuls. Those days are over. Medina Israel is going to fund all the yeshivot and the kollalim. We're going to be able to finally sit down and learn. Yeah. What the rabbis were meant to do. To sit down and to be able to teach Torah. At that moment, the entire room burst out in cheer. And they were clapping. It was such a simcha. It was unbelievable. And while everyone was cheering and clapping, Reb Shach, Zechet Tzadik Lebracha, the great Reb Shach, stood in the room and he was turning his head from side to side. And he stood up. And he started waving with his hands. And he got the attention of everybody in the room. And he quieted everybody down. And Reb Shach looks at all the Rosh HaYeshivot and all the Rabbanim. And he says, Rabotai, we can't take the money. Why not? Harav? Chod Rosh HaYeshiva, why not? Why not? Finally! Could you imagine that you don't need the Rabbanim to be knocking on doors and running to offices and flying? They could sit, they could teach Torah, they could learn Torah. Why not? Why can't we take the money? Reb Shach says we cannot take the money. Why not? Said Reb Shach. Because if we take the money, where will Klal Yisrael get their Yeshuot from? Borei Olam made it that the Yeshivot and the Torah will always be in need of the funds to keep the support going, so that Klal Yisrael will have an overwhelming wellspring of Yeshuot. If we take this away from the Jews, from Klal Yisrael, from a Jew, where are they going to get their Yeshuot from? This is the place that Klal Yisrael gets their Yeshuot. Don't you dare take that away from them. This is their place of Yeshuot. Do you understand what that means? You understand what Reb Shach is saying? Zechet Tzadik Lebracha. You understand what he's saying? He's telling us, me and you, that when a Jew has Chas Shalom, we should never know from tzarot. We should never know from troubles. But if Has v'Shalom, a person is dealing with tzarot of any sort, whether it be choli, God forbid, whether it be parnasa, whether it be shidduchim, a person finds themselves in tzarot. Says Reb Shach, this is the area that Borei Olam left open for you. You need a Yeshua? Go support Torah. Magne umatzle. זה מגן עליך, אבל זה מציל אותך גם כן. When we have tzarot, we go and you say, Abba, I can't deal with this situation, help me. We run, we take $5,000. We run to a yeshiva. Please, I want to support Talmidei Chachamim Aniyim. I want to support Tinokot Shel Bet Rabban Shelo Chatu. Borei Olam, ine, look. I brought teref bebetcha. Isn't it the pasuk? The pasuk says, Borei Olam, if you bring teref bebeti, v'chanuni na bezot. Test me. The one area that you're allowed to test Borei Olam. Forget about the riches, the Yeshuot. How many people were saved from tzarot? The moment that they turned to support Torah, the Torah turned around and supported them. How many times we said, Abba, here, I'm going to help yours. Now please, midah keneged midah, help mine. Help me. Says Reb Shach, we can't take the money. You take the money, you took away the Yeshuot of Klal Yisrael. Where else will they get Yeshuot? Unbelievable. And therefore, Rabotai, don't take it lightly. Don't think this is small. On a day like today where so many people are not working, on a week like this week that so many people are not working, when the rest of the world looks at this at vacation holiday season, where is Klal Yisrael found? What are we doing in our wonderful community? We're setting up Yom of learning, Yom of Torah, Yom Shekulo Torah, one Rav after the next Rav, Shi'ur after Shi'ur, because this is the Yeshuot of Klal Yisrael. And boy, can we use it. Boy, can we use it. We're living in times that every family in Klal Yisrael could use a Yeshua. Go back to the Torah and you'll find the Yeshuot. Support her. Grasp, learn. Let's make new Seder. Let's get to a night Seder. Let's get to a morning Seder. Daf Yomi just started a new Masechet. Jump in on Megillah. Let's grab it. Because that's grabbing the Yeshuot of Klal Yisrael. It's amazing. Anu Amelim, Behem Amelim. What are they supporting? What are they celebrating today? What are the Goyim celebrating today? What are they celebrating today? They're celebrating a tree. We're also celebrating a tree. Etz Chaim Hila Mahazikim Ba. We're celebrating the Torah, the tree of life. But you know the difference? By them, they put the presents underneath the tree. By us, the present is the tree itself. It's the Torah HaKdosha. Etz Chaim Hi La Mahazikim Ba. This is ours. This is the gift of Klal Yisrael. Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. We got the tree of life. We got the gift. Look at the shtuyot of what they have. Happy. By us, the gift is the tree itself. This is the tree of Yeshuot. This is the Torah HaKdosha, Rabotai. You came today to learn. You came to find Yeshuot in Klal Yisrael. And we're living in times now with such an upside down society like we've never seen a world before like this. The governments, from beginning to end, inside out, we don't know what's yes and what's not. From one day to the next, nothing makes sense. Everything is v'nahafochu. It's an unbelievable time we're living in. Rabotai, I want to tell you over a story that was said over by a Chai Lifeline volunteer, a young yeshiva boy who spent his days helping out in Sloan Kettering Hospital. And this particular story is a young Jewish boy who, lo aleinu lo alechem, was there for treatment. And he's there with his parents. And the doctor walks in. And the doctor tells them not good news. And when the parents heard, they broke down crying. And the boy himself, so young, didn't know what to make of it. So this Chai Lifeline volunteer, young yeshiva boy, runs up and calms the parents down, goes over to the boy in bed and starts talking to him and makes a few jokes and cheers him up and tells him everything's going to be okay. And he starts giving him a chizuk. And just then, there's a knock on the door. of the room. So this High Lifeline boy runs up, he opens the door, and there is standing a guy in a Santa Claus suit from head to toe. And he's screaming, ho, 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 I'm here to... He says, no, you don't understand. The family just got terrible news. Now's not a good time. Come back a different time. Now's not a good time. Santa looks at the boy, the guy, and he says to him, no, let me in. I'm going to cheer them up. That's my job. I'm going to come in, I'm going to cheer him. Look, I have this and I have toys. He says, no, you don't get it. This is a Jewish family. They're not interested. Please. They just got terrible news. Go to a different room. Go to a different patient. Come back later when things are a little bit more calm. Don't you see? The mother, the father, they're crying. The boy doesn't know what to make of it. Now it's bad time. You just go out, come back, different time. Satan says, no, now's the time that I should come. Let me in. He starts pushing himself in. Let me in. The High Lifeline boy says, no, come on. What are you doing? I'm explaining to you. This is not the right time. Santa looks at him and says, Ma itcha? Ten li likades. It's a true story. Ma ze lo mitzvah? Ten li likades. Ani rotze likades. Do you understand what days we're living in? Do you understand the upside downness? Do you understand that I just rolled out the carpet to tell you, welcome to the United States of America, the great melting pot of the world, where the entire society is upside down? Where even good-meaning people with good neshamot that want to do good, but when you don't have a Rebbe, when you don't have Torah, when you don't have a real chinuch, everything is inside out and upside down. How lucky we are. That B'le'ayin hara today, the Torah amongst us is flourishing. B'le'ayin hara. Every shul, we have night seders, we have morning seders, we have daf yomi, we have yorucha, we have bikiyut, we have be'eyun, we have teenage programs. B'le'ayin hara, rabotai. Every shul is flourishing. We've never seen in the last 50 years a renaissance of Torah bursting forward amongst us like these days. It's unbelievable. And therefore you say to yourself, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. We have so much Torah. We have so much unbelievable renaissance of learning. We have people coming out to learn that never learned before in their lives. We have guys learning hours on the day. Rabotai, Be'emet, if I could just tell you, by us in the Shul Magen Abraham, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, we have the Yorucha program. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we have 20 guys sitting till 11 a.m. They're all Amazon guys. They're all cash advance guys who don't have to go in yet to work. So they figured out, because these days we're learning a lot about Bet HaLevi and Bitachon, that you don't have to work harder to make more money. But you have to work with Bitachon. So these guys are learning every day till 11 o'clock. Can you imagine Baalei Batim, Shelanu, sitting down, learning Bet HaLevi every day, Shmirat HaLashon, Amud Yomi every day, finishing Mesechtot? We, B'le'ayin hara, we have Torah busting. So why are we still suffering? Why are we still here? Can I ask a better question, if I may? Forgive me, I beg of you. Didn't we pass through this whole COVID thing already once? What is it now? Hazara, round 2, round 3, we can't even count the strings anymore. Well, you want me to take the 5th booster shot now? What do you want? What are you, number 4? Number 4, that's what we're up to now? For now. Yeah. For now. What's going on? Didn't we suffer enough? I mean, you think about this. We walked around, we were at home. We were at home for months. Everywhere we went mamash like the Behemot of Abraham Avinu. We went with the masks, everywhere we went. Didn't we suffer? We lost so many tzaddikim. In our community alone, how many good people we lost? Chacham Jamal, how many people, good people, we lost? How much we suffered? And now all of a sudden, this thing comes back at us. We should never know. My wife and myself this past week, in the beginning of last week, we tested positive for COVID. And we're sitting there with the nurse, we're sitting there with the doctor, and they're donning, which strand is it? I told the guy, what does it make a difference at this point? We're doing chazara again on the He says, yeah, they're going to shut down, we'll bring masks. I said, wait, been there, done that, Habibi, we don't want to hear about it. What does Abba want? You know, sometimes you think to yourself, maybe if something comes back again, Siman, that when it was here the first time, we might not have learned what we were supposed to learn. And because of that, it comes to a point where Chas v'Shalom, it comes back and reminds you again. Lo aleinu v'lo aleichem, we should never know for what we went through in March 2020, we should never know. Believe me, I'm with you. Believe me. I remember that Pesach at home. And I remember those tefillot at home. And I remember all the good people that we lost in the Rabbanim, Rabbi Chaim Dahan, Shema Yisrael. But maybe we didn't get the message. Maybe we were supposed to remember that the mask was covering the mouth because we were supposed to be mitaken the mouth. And somehow or other, right when it was over, we went right back to business as usual. We went back to the shuls. You would expect after a COVID like that, no one would have the audacity to start talking in shul. Are you joking? After what we lived through, what? You need something more clear, more blatant, more in the open, to literally wrap it across your mouth physically and stop your lips from being able to move and make it uncomfortable on the back of your ears to remind you that what you're speaking is no good. Who would walk back into a shul after that and start talking in the middle of Hazarat Hashatz? Who would walk back into a shul and talk in the middle of Sefer Torah, in the middle of even think of that? And let alone the concepts of Ben Adam Lechavero and the Shmirat HaLashon. How many Kabbalot did we work on the Lashon Hara? Did we get better at the Shalom? Were we more mivater with people once that COVID left? Because if we didn't, what happens when you remind someone of something and they forget? What do? You remind them again. We don't want another reminder. But says Moshe Rabbeinu in the parasha that we just passed, says Moshe Rabbeinu, did you take a look at that Rashi? Achen noda hadavar. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, I always wondered, why does Klal Yisrael suffer? What's the suffering? From all the nations of the world. That's unbelievable. Why are we suffering? We're the good people. We're the people of the tree of life, the tree of Torah, not their tree. We have the tree that we hold on to, the gift of Klal Yisrael, the Torah Kdosha, Etz Chaim Hi. We're holding on to the tree of life. Shouldn't we be the people to live? Shouldn't we be the people to live? Why do we suffer? Says Moshe Rabbeinu, I figured it out. Achen noda hadavar. Because they speak Lashon Hara. Because they speak at times and they need the Tikkun HaPeh. It's unbelievable to me. Ay, Rabotai. Years ago, there was a young Bachur in Bnei Brak. He was about 16 years old. He was a brilliant boy. He was a matmid. He learned Yomam V'Layla. They already had tremendous expectations for this Bachur. They say, you could see already on him, he's going to be from the future of the Gedolim of Klal Yisrael. And now you understand how much pain it was when Mamashi was taken so quickly in an accident. His life was taken at such a young age. Unbelievable. His mother was unconsolable. You cannot console her. You cannot console. All the Rabbanim, all the family members, they all came to Shiva'ah. You could not console this woman. There was nothing they told her. Couldn't console her. The Shiva'ah was over. And she went into Shabbat. Friday night, after she lit candles, she sat down in her chair like she normally did, waiting for her husband to come. And she falls asleep in her chair Friday night crying. And she has a dream. Rabotai, listen to this. This is a Maisa that Reb Steinemann Zechet Tzadik Lebracha said to be Mefarsim Berabim. It's in the Sefer. I'll show it to you. This is an unbelievable Maaseh. Rabotai, please open your hearts. Achen Noda Hadavar. You need to hear this. She falls asleep. She has a dream. Friday night. Her son comes to her in a dream. He says, Ima, Shabbat. Shabbat. You're not allowed to be mit'abelet b'Shabbat. Avelut asu b'Shabbat. Ima, you cannot be crying like this. You have to cheer yourself up. She says to her son, how can I cheer myself up? I lost you. You are my prize. You are my future. Gadol b'Torah. I gave my life for you. He says, Ima, you have to understand that we don't understand. So she says, tell me, explain it to me, tell me, how does this make sense? He says to her, Ima, I want to tell you that in Shamayim, there's a tremendous kpedah, there's a tremendous din on the concept that Klal Yisrael could have had Geula long ago, if not for the problem of Shmirat HaLashon. They're still speaking Lashon. They're still not getting along. There's no shalom between people. There's no shalom in families. The words, Klal Yisrael, the words, the Shmirat HaLashon. He says, Ima, I want to tell you that if Klal Yisrael would take upon themselves Shmirat HaLashon, miyad niga'alim, the Geula would come quick. It's the only thing that's holding. Shamayim doesn't let me tell you more than this. But Ima, I'll tell you one more thing. If not for Avon Lashon Hara, most of the tzarot that are coming to the world would not come, including my accident. I probably would have still been alive today. Ima, I want you to tell people that the Chafetz Chaim is standing by Kisei HaKavod and he's davening and praying for all the people that are learning and especially spreading Shmirat HaLashon to Klal. You don't have a bigger Melitz Yosher. Nobody, money cannot buy a defense attorney for Yeshuot like the Chafetz Chaim, standing at Kisei HaKavod, praying specifically for the people who need Yeshuot, who are learning Shmirat HaLashon, and especially those who are spreading Shmirat HaLashon. This woman woke up, she felt a certain sense of nechama. And then after that, she went and told her husband. Her husband went to the Gidolim. He went to Reb Steinemann, Zechet Tzadik Lebracha. He told him over the Chalom, word for word. And Reb Steinemann told him, this is a Chalom Amiti, mitzvah lefarsem. Go out and publish it and tell people that this is what Klal Yisrael needs. And let them know that anyone who's looking for Yeshuot, start Shmirat HaLashon learning daily, every day. Spread it to other people. Rabotai, listen to me well. You have the Chafetz Chaim, could you believe that? Standing by Kisei HaKavod. This is an unbelievable maaseh, but it also is an unbelievable clarity. Because if we didn't get the message round one, what do you think we're going through now? Could you believe it? You're looking at a guy that got COVID back when it was around in round one. And then I heard maybe to go to Eretz Yisrael, they'll let you in with a vaccine. So I ran and I took the first shot. And I took the second shot. I'm not telling you to take the vaccine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I did it because at the time we were told that you'll be allowed to go into Eretz Yisrael if you're vaccinated. I said, I'll take the bullet. I have no problem. If I can get one more vatikim by the kotel in the morning, I'll take it. If I could go, I could stand by Rabbi Meir Baal Nes one more. If I can go dunk in the Arizal's mikveh one more time, I'll take it. I'll take it. Yalla, bring it on. No problem. I could stand by Marat HaMachpelah, stand on the steps and cry my eyes out to the Avot HaKdoshim. I'll take it. Give me your vaccine, your shtuyot. But if it lets me back to Eretz Yisrael, I'll take it. I'm not saying that this is what you should do. I'm saying this is what I did. Thinking at that time that it would get me to Eretz Yisrael. Borei Olam had a different plan. They changed their rules 19 times. But at the end of the day, with the 2 vaccines and so on and this, and what happened this past week? I tested positive for COVID again. Nah. It's a new strain. This is not the old paro. This is a new paro. But what about your vaccinations? No, these vaccinations don't work for the new paro. It only worked for the old paro. You need a booster paro to be able to go and work for the new paro. Come on, enough! Aren't you going to wake up and realize what's going on? Don't you realize we didn't get the message the first time? And because we didn't get the message, we are back here again. Achen noda hadavar. This is the concept. This is the pshat. Rabotai, I want to tell you that we started a new Shmirat HaLashon group. We did it in email. We're doing it in WhatsApp. If you want to WhatsApp 732-520-0557. It's a video Shmirat HaLashon Halacha under 4 minutes every single day. And it brings it right to you. The email, you can email iTorah. We have it going out in a written word with audio and video. But this is an opportunity to turn it around. Remember, the Chafetz Chaim is standing by Kiseh Kavod. And he's literally davening for the people. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. For the people that jumped in and started learning Shmirat HaLashon, because this is what's holding back our Geula. It's amazing to me. Rabotai, these are the days of Shovavim. The days that we are to be metaken the peh. These are the days that we need to be metaken the cherev pifiyot biadam. Both peh. The peh lemala and the peh lemata. These are the days of Shovavim. Let me explain this to you for a moment. Parashat Vayechi. Yaakov Avinu comes to Yosef and says, Va'ani natati lecha Shechem achad al achecha asher lakachti miyad ha'emori b'charbi u'b'kashti. Says Rashi, says the Siftei Chachamim, the charbi is with wisdom, Torah wisdom. U'b'kashti is milakshom bakasha, with tefillot. I davened for this. I fought for this with pikhut, with wisdom. I wrestled the malach of Esav, miyad emori, says Rashi, miyad Esav. I stole this from Esav. I fought for this, and I gave it to you, Shechem. What's so special about Shechem? What did he have to fight for? What did he have to pray for? Says Reb Shimshon Ashtropoli, a sod adir v'nifla. Please open your hearts, you have to hear this. Says the great Reb Shimshon Ashtropoli, how do we say this? How do we say this? Says Reb Shimshon Ashtropoli, va'ani is gematria Elul. Natati lecha is gematria Tishrei. I gave you Elul and Tishrei. the two great Et Ratzon months of the year. These are the months of Teshuvah. These are the months that you can clean everything up and set your year on a perfect path. But what happens, like this past year, when Elul fell out in August? When Elul was the summer, when people's brains were on vacation, where we were doing what? Silichot and then running out to the boardwalk. Where was Elul this past year? So what happens in a year that I gave you Elul, I gave you Tishrei, and you didn't use it for whatever reason? Says Yaakov Avinu, Borei Olam gave us one more chance, another gift, to make it up in Et Ratzon that's equal to Elul and Tishrei. Take a look at the pasuk. Reb Shimon Ashtropoli, Va'ani, Gematria Elul, Natati Lecha, Gematria Tishrei. In a year, Elul Tishrei, and you didn't use it. You know what else I gave you to make up? Shchem. Shchem is Gematria Shovavim. Perfectly. And you know what year it makes up for Elul and Tishrei? In a year that's al achad me'achecha. That's one above the number of your brothers. How many brothers are there? 12 brothers. A year with 12 plus 1. A 13-month year. A leap year. In that year, Shovavim is the strongest tikkun of all. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Do you understand? Va'ani Elul, Natati lecha Tishrei, Shechem, but I also gave you Shovavim. In what year? In the year of Al Achad Me'achecha, in a 13-month year, in a year of 12 brothers plus 1, 13 months. In a leap year, that's the year that Shovavim is as great as Elul and Tishrei. What you didn't do in Elul and Tishrei, what you weren't mitaken, what you didn't fix in Elul and Tishrei, you can be mitaken now. And this leap year in Shovavim. Says Yaakov Avinu, don't think it came easy. B'charbi u'bikashti. I had to fight the Malach HaVesav to get this one. I had to fight him. I had to fight him with Torah. I had to fight him with Bakasha, with Tefillah. But I gamvined it away. I stole this from Esav and I gave it to you. What a gift. That's why it's in Parashat Vayichi. It's the warning right before Shemot. Shovavim is coming. The alarm went off. And these are the days to be metaken the peh. These are the days, Shovavim, to be metaken the peh lemala and the peh lemata. This is the days that we're metaken lashon hara. This is the days that has v'shalom we're metaken zer al batala, forgive me. These are the days that we're metaken the American averot, and you know what I'm talking about. These are these weeks that the tikkun of Shovavim is equal to an Elul and a Tishrei. In this year specifically, in the year of Achad al Achecha, a 13-month leap year. How could we not grab this opportunity? Shovavim is a time that all over the world, they work on the Peh Shmirat HaLashon. All over the world. I remember my years back in Eretz Yisrael, when it came Shovavim, besides the tikkun, but how much we were careful. Ta'anid dibur. Achen noda hadavar. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, the suffering comes from only one place. From the mouth. And the mouth that wasn't watched. And if we could fix it now in these weeks, that's prone for perfectly fixing the mouth, we'll be zochet to an unbelievable tikkun. And that's the secret. Vayichi, the introduction to Shovavim. Shechem. And now Shemot. And here is the first week of Tikkun. Where's the Tikkun in the Parashat Shemot? To let you know that the great Tikkunim have already begun in Parashat Shemot. Shobibim, Shin Shemot, Vav Va'era, Bo Bishalach, Yitro, Mishpatim. And this year there's an extra 2 weeks because this year's a leap year. So you could take this opportunity like never before. You can do what we didn't do in Elul. Where's the Tikkun in the first week? The tikkun of the peh is none other than Moshe Rabbeinu. Kvad peh Ay, 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 are you joking? Kvad peh, kvad lashon. Moshe Rabbeinu was here to be metaken the peh. Metaken the peh. Whose peh? Can I tell you this? The Noach matzah chen b'nei Hashem. Noach, he found grace in God's eyes, the last pasuk of Bereshit. Really? How is that? Says the Gemara, Noach was supposed to die in the Mabul with everybody else. He was part of the Gezerah. And what happened? The Noach matzah chen b'nei Hashem. He found grace in Hashem's eyes. And Borei Olam allowed his family and Noach to be the only ones to survive. Really? Why? 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 Says the Arizal HaKadosh, listen to this, Rabotai, open your hearts. What you're going to hear now is an unreal soliloquy of Tikkun. Rabotai, listen to this. Noach was actually found guilty for two great things, two great sins. He didn't pray for his generation, and he did not rebuke his generation. Because he didn't rebuke the generation, he was considered part of the sin of the generation, which the generation was destroyed because of Zima and Arayot. And because he didn't pray for the generation, so both sins were with the mouth. He didn't pray, and he didn't rebuke. He didn't speak the talk that they should have heard. And he didn't pray the prayers that they needed. And because of that, he was supposed to die with the generation. But Borei Olam had mercy. V'noach matzah chen b'nei Hashem. Chen. And he let him live. Really? How is that? Why? Says the Arizal, something off the charts. As we say in Anna on a daily basis, we say, Avo chatanu, avinu, anachnu, va'avotenu, va'anshe betenu. Isn't that a chutzpah? Did you ever think about that for a minute? To say that I sinned, I understand. I sinned. Chatan, aviti, pashat, I sinned. Asham, bagad, gada, I sinned. I'm guilty. I stole. I rebelled. But anachnu, va'avotenu, va'avotenu. My friend, did you ever hear about Kibbud Avaed? It made the top 10 in history. Did you ever hear Kibbud Avaed? Not only did I sin, my parents, my father sinned. Is this the way you talk? Is this the way you talk? How could you say that? Says the Arizal, you got it all wrong. That's not bichlal what the words mean. But we know that every time a neshama comes down to the world the first time, he's the Av Neshama. If that neshama does its job, kol hakavod. But if chas v'shalom, the neshama that comes down as the Av, round one, has to come back and fix something, he has to come back as Gilgul. You know what in Kabbalah they call the Gilgul neshama? The Tolada. There's the Av, round one, and there's the Tolda, which is round two, maybe round three. It's the Tolada of the original neshama, the Av. Says the Arizal, when we come and we say, Borei Olam, forgive us, not only am I crying over the sins that I did in this lifetime, not only now, but anachnu va'avotenu v'anshe betenu. Not only now did I sin in this lifetime, but I'm also saying, forgive me in the avotenu, in the Av state of previous lifetimes, where I sinned then. Forgive me for now and for the original round that I was here as well. The Av Neshama Avotenu, and now the Tolada as well. And if this is the case, says the Arizal, it's unbelievable. V'Noach matzah b'nei Hashem. You want to know why? He had two sins. He didn't pray, and he didn't rebuke, and therefore he's also chayav on the arayot. But don't worry, says Borei Olam, I'm going to allow him to live. You know why? Because of the two future Gilgulim that are going to come out. Ele Toledot Noach. These are the future Gilgulim of Noach. Noach, he's going to come back twice. Who's he going to come back as? Ish Tzaddik. He's going to come back as Yosef HaTzaddik. In order to fix the avon of Arayot, because he did not rebuke his generation, the Mabul of Shichvat Zera and Arayot. And then who's he going to come back as? Round 2? Tamim Haya Bidorotav. He's going to come back as the perfect Jew, none other than Moshe Rabbeinu. And because of his future Gilgulim, Borei Olam extended him credit based on future performance. V'Noach matzachem be'enei Hashem. You know why? Next pasuk. Ele toledot Noach, because of the future Gilgulim of Noach. Noach is coming back twice. Ish Tzadik Yosef to fix the first sin. And then Tamim Haya B'Dorotav to fix the other sin that he didn't pray for his generation. He's going to come back as Moshe Rabbeinu, who's going to pray for Klal Yisrael and save us from the Egel. Are you joking? Unbelievable. And that was this parasha that we just read. Moshe Rabbeinu is born. The whole house lights up. Says Rashi, they named him Tubia, they named him Abigidor, they gave him 7 different names, Moshe Rabbeinu. And at the end, they wanted to save this baby boy. What did they do? They took him, put him in a basket, and threw him down the Nile River. Hazaku Baruch. Somebody called child services. Are you joking? Who would come up with an idea to take a baby and put him in a basket and send him down a river? You hide him in the attic. What were they thinking? What were they thinking? No, my friends. Amram. Yochevet, Gadol Ador, Ruach HaKodesh. The moment that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, the house lit up. They realized, this is a Gilgul of Noach. How was Noach saved in his round 1? He was placed in a Teva. Do you know that the only other place in the entire Torah that the word Teva is mentioned, besides in Parashat Noach, is in Parashat Shemot by Moshe Rabbeinu? It doesn't say they put him in a box. They put baby Moshe in a teva, because that's the way you save the Gilgul of Noach. If this is the way he was saved in the first round, this is the way the Yeshua for this baby is going to come in the second round. They put him in a teva, they put him on the Nile River, and he went down, and sure enough, it's amazing. Batya finds him. And she takes one look at him, and she takes him out from the teva, and she gives him a name. And the other names that the parents gave did not stick. We don't call him Tuvia Rabbeinu. We don't call him Abigidor Rabbeinu. It's Moshe Rabbeinu. Who gave him the name Moshe? Batya. She pulls him out from the basket and she says, this baby I'm going to name Moshe. You know why? Ki min hamayim ishitihu. Not this water. She realized this is the baby that was saved from the waters. She realized that this is the baby of Noach. What do you name a baby, Gilgul Noach? You know what you name him? The one that was saved from the waters. The one that was saved from the Mabul. Moshe. The one that was drawn from the waters, Moshe Rabbeinu. And that's why the name Moshe stuck, because it described his essence of his mission. He was here to fix the one, to be mitaken, the one that was saved from the waters, none other than Noach. And later on, when Klal Yisrael fell in the Egel, Moshe Rabbeinu began to pray. And you know what Moshe tells Borei Olam? If you don't accept my tefillah, mechenina. You know what Mechenina spells backwards? Ani Noach. Or according to the Navi, Mechenina is Me Noach. Abba, if you don't hear my tefillot now, and you don't let me pray for the generation to save them, then how am I going to be mitaken? Noach, who didn't pray for his generation. Shemot is the parasha of Tikkunim, because we just started Shovavim. Rabotai, this is the time for Shmirat HaLashon. Moshe Rabbeinu kvad peo kvad lashon. After he prayed for the generation after the Egel, you know what the Midrash says? His stutter went away. He was able to speak at that point perfectly, because he was mitaken the peh. The reason why he was brought here in the first place, starting from Parashat Shemot, the Tikkunim of the Peh, the Tikkunim of Achen, Noda Hadavar. It begins now. This is what's going to bring us a Geula. Thank you for listening.